Hello, hello, hello,
Good
and
evening.
welcome to American in Yerevan. You were listening to 103.0 Radio Von
With Steven Oxner.
and Ina MK
And tonight we're discussing, you know what? Get Nachanzor.
and technologies.
How weird.
What a strange topic to pick. You're listening to American in Yerevan, a show that is on every Wednesday and Friday on 103.0 Radio Von.
From 9 till 11
And
p.m.
every day, every Wednesday and Friday, we pick a theme and we discuss it from the cultural standpoint of America and the cultural standpoint of Armenia. Or even more specifically, Yerevan, because this is where I live.
This is where
This
I
is
live.
where you live. And this is where
We are.
we are in our studio. And today, that topic, we're going to open up through the apple from under the earth. And apple from under the earth is Getna Hanzor. And technologies. Because these two things, although at first glance seem completely disconnected, seem completely like, what? Left field.
What?
Uh,
What?
They actually have quite a few connections, which we have found and which we are going to dilute with you through the course of the next 2 hours until 11 p.m. So, as always, if you have something to say about either of these things, get na
Chanzor.
or
maybe the
technologies.
apple of
Or-
Apple.
Um,
Get Nachanzor versus Apple.
Yeah, that is one. Oh my gosh. Apple and the apple from under the earth.
Mac.
Oh man. We have a big 2 hours ahead of us. So don't go away and call us if you have something to say about these things. 560901. We are here. We are healthy. And we are 103.0 Radio On in MK.
And Steven Oxner.
And we are still here on 103.0 Radio Von. This is a program called American in Yerevan. I am Steven Oxner, and I am an American. I am sitting in Yerevan in our studios here with Ina MK.
Yes, please.
And today
don't
we're talking
forget.
about
and
the apple from
today-
under the earth and technologies.
And
you brought up
Steven.
this. You just you astound me. You know that, Ina, because you brought up this the fact that Apple and Apple, I mean, they're connected.
Yeah, and there are actually 3 apples that changed the world,
Wait a second. Come
which
on.
are the apple
Apples that
eaten by
changed-
Eve.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
the apple that fell on Newton. There
The
was a
apple that
popular
fell on
story.
Newton.
Yeah, there was a popular story that Newton was sitting under an apple tree and apple fell on his head. And
He was just sitting there
yeah,
thinking, "Oh, what can I think up
about
next?
gravitation.
What can be the next thing about science that I can think up?" And then an apple fell on his head, and that was the eureka moment that he had? Oh my
yes,
gosh,
exactly. And he
that's
suddenly thought
terrible.
of the universal law of gravitation.
Okay. And
And
the
the third one is the apple created by Steve
Oh,
Jobs.
Steve.
Oh,
Thanks,
Steve. What did you do to us,
Thank
Steve?
you very much, Steve.
Do we really need to say thank you, Steven?
I don't
Think
know.
about
It's
that.
hard because
It's
I
tricky.
have an Apple computer, which is a rarity. I'm finding out in Armenia. So I, like when I'm in a cafe and I open up my Apple computer, everyone kind of like looks at me for a second, just a second, but for a second they look because I don't have a PC. Either they think, oh, he's a poser or a hipster, or they think, oh, I wish
Show
I had
off.
an Apple. Yeah. As it turns out, I actually have an Apple computer which looks really cool, but is actually from 2008, and
which is not cool in America.
it's not. Well, it's not cool in the fact that the software is now outdated. I mean,
think they
no,
do it
no,
on
no,
purpose.
that's not it. The hardware is outdated, and they do.
Mhm.
This is true.
To make us buy
yeah,
new
the
stuff
new
all the
ones.
time. New and new and new.
Svology.
Savology. And we have actually the 4th apple that changed Steven's world.
Yes.
And it is...
Get Nachanzor.
This is where we come to get Nachanzor.
This is where we come to it because let me tell you about
Because-
this. I'm not sure. Only our faithful listeners, maybe Vazgen, maybe
Irene.
can recall that in the fall I had quite a cough. I was quite ill, and I could not get over this cough that I had.
Poor
And
America.
there were tons of bits of
Yerevan.
advice that I would get from taxi drivers, from
Doshab.
Doshab, from all of my loved ones here at Radio Van. And it was like doshab, bake an onion in the oven. What other kind of things? Drink iodine. And one of the things was eat the apple from under the earth.
Which I think you
And when
thought...
you hear something like that, you think, the apple from under the earth?
What
I'm
is
gonna eat the apple from under the earth.
the hell apple.
This is. I'm not sure that that's gonna help me feel better from my cough, but it did, Ina.
Yes.
Yes,
I think you thought that it was ginger or something, right?
that's the thing.
Kinda
Is
like-
the first time I saw it, they were like, "Here's an apple from under the earth," and I said, "No, that's ginger. That's called ginger," and they said, "No, it's an apple from under the earth. Try it." And I took a bite, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is not ginger. This is not in any way ginger. It doesn't sting. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's not spicy.
Yeah, it's not spicy. It's like, and it had a familiar taste, you know.
Like
and I thought,
potato.
what could that be? No, it wasn't like potato, because raw potato is also I can't eat raw
Sweet.
potatoes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Even raw
True.
sweet potatoes. I don't know. I just can't stomach it. But getna khanzor, I can eat just raw, and I ate a bunch of them, and afterwards I thought, what is that taste? I couldn't put my finger on it until one moment of eureka, when Getna Khanzor came out from under the earth, flew up into the air, and came back down on my head. And I thought, oh, this tastes like sunflower seeds.
Did you
Because
really
in America,
taste
when we're
that?
on like road trips, you know, you eat the sunflower seeds, you spit them out the window. Yeah, and I thought, oh, this tastes like a sunflower seed. So I went on the internet, of course, and I started researching a little bit about Getna Khanzor. It turns out that it's actually the root of a sunflower.
Yes.
It's
And-
the root of a sunflower. And in English, it's not called the apple from under the earth. It's called
Check this out. Jerusalem artichoke.
the Jerusalem artichoke.
Which is also called Helianthus tuberosus.
Helianthus
Also
tuberosus.
called sunroot, sunchoke,
Sunchoke. Yeah,
earth
I've heard that
apple, or topinambur.
apple.
Oh my
one. Or
goodness.
what?
Topinambur.
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 Species of sunflower native to eastern North America.
This is the craziest part.
And found eastern Canada and mainly to North Dakota and south to northern Florida and Texas.
How is it possible? If you look at the map of America, you look at where North Dakota is located, and then you look at where Florida is located, then you look at where Texas is located. These are not places. They say you could throw a rock. Oh, there's a phrase in English. It's not close. They're not close to each other. There are several states between each of those three states.
But
So
they're
how is
all
it possible that
connected
this thing, the Earth
by the
apple,
earth apple.
or the sunchoke, or the Getna Khanzor, could get from North Dakota to Texas to Florida, and then all the way to Armenia?
Hey, I just created a slogan.
Yeah,
Earth apple connecting states.
this is I think it's the birth of a new technology company.
Yeah.
We're going to create the next breakthrough technology, which will take over the Earth,
And I think people
change the
listening
psychology
to
of all
us,
our children.
Yeah, and I think that people listening to us.
I'll start wearing a black turtleneck every day. All the people listening to us?
All the people listening to us now figure out how is Getna Khanzor, the earth apple, connected to technologies.
Right.
Yeah.
Because how, Ina, is it
How?
possible that Getna Khanzor is in Armenia? Only thanks to airplanes, probably ships. I think that probably is a very old thing.
polluting.
Because like your grandma
Nature.
probably, probably your grandma knew what Getna Khanzor was, right?
Yes,
It sounds like a
Of
really
course, of
Armenian
course.
name. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like the apple from
that's
under
what
the
I
earth.
thought.
Yeah, it's like an Armenian thing.
Yeah,
And it turns out that it comes
such a
from
mistake.
Florida. We are opening up
My forefathers eating
Pandora's box
American.
today. But before we go too far into this, we have just
Yeah, let's do
it. Sometimes we need an explanation for what you named this episode "Get Khanzur and Technologies." Are you kidding me? What is the explanation for this? That's our explanation.
And we're not smoking anything, I promise.
We're just here in the studio
yeah.
eating Get Khanzur.
Steven, let's
And
take a break.
listening to Mad About You by Sting. Here we are. We're still here. Don't go away. You're listening to
Don't
American in
leave us.
Yerevan with Ina MK.
And Steven Oxner.
And we're still here. We did not forget about you. We are here in the studio at 103.0 Radio Van on American in Yerevan with Ina MK.
And Steven Oxner discussing all kinds of technologies.
Technologies. Okay. Can we stop for a second and talk about Facebook, Ina?
Sure.
Because
Sad.
there's something
That's
you may have
something-
noticed apart from our page, which is called American in Yerevan, and you can go to our page and like it, but you can also put different kind of emotions now. There are all kinds of emotions that came
Yeah.
up on Facebook recently, like love.
Liking.
There's like a laughing face, there's a shocked face, there's a sad face, and a mad face.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across,
This article.
yeah,
Something that's something that seemed so obvious, but at the same time so shocking.
yeah, it's tricky. It's a weird world that we live in. So the article is called "Facebook is using those new like emojis, emoticons, faces, to keep tabs on your emotions."
Yeah.
So
keep
it turns
track
out that
of
the like,
everything.
the thumbs up in Facebook is it's old news. Facebook has been using that for
Forever.
I think several years now to figure out what to put on your news feed. And that was always kind of like, okay, if you like it, then you have more of that kind of thing coming to your news feed, and more of that kind of thing that you can read about to keep you hooked on Facebook,
Yeah.
And now,
And also, it's all about money, right?
well, yeah,
The
because,
advertisements and
right,
stuff.
the advertisements that come up on the sides. But the really scary thing is that, especially with the onslaught of, I'm sorry, but Donald Trump stories in America. Have you heard about this guy, Donald Trump? Donald Trump is this man. He's an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also a reality TV show star. And he is a very rich man in America.
Uh-huh.
And he's now running for president.
Wow.
And what has happened in the past few months since he started running for president is a few things. One thing is his ratings have gone up sky high, and he is now like daily I see different things about how he's like the most loved Republican candidate so far, beating all of the other Republican candidates, and also that he is uncovering an age-old racism in America that accounts for around 20% of Americans who are extremely racist and want their
Still.
voice to be heard. So it's like this kind of like something that goes back way even before the civil rights movement in America that was in the 60s, and goes back to the Civil War, where people think that, freeing the slaves was a mistake.
You must be kidding me, Steven.
And this is the way that Facebook comes into play, because if you go on and you like read something about Donald Trump and you think it's really funny, oh, I can't believe he said that, I can't believe he made that really crude comment about
Yeah,
that
you keep liking
person,
it.
then you like it and you get more of that, and then that news spreads, and his popularity goes up and up and up, and now Facebook is really,
What a smart tool.
seems like it is having an effect on politics, and in the country that has one of the biggest thumbs on the rest of the world, America.
We become like dolls in the hands of this
Puppets.
tool.
Yeah.
Puppets.
Yeah, because it's designed for a long time now. It's been designed to keep you hooked on the news feed. You like something and you keep reading and you keep scrolling, and you're like, okay, if you like a bunch of puppies, then you get more and more puppies on your news feed. But now it's like you get more and more of Donald
Political
Trump.
stuff.
Yeah. So this is a way that a way that technology is
Used
is used to shape,
to control our emotions and likes.
to know something about us and then use that knowledge.
So technologies are working against us, even though it's shown that technologies are for our own goods.
Yeah.
And have you heard, Stephen, that Facebook is a big database for FBI?
I've heard something about that recently.
I've heard that too. So you can find any information on any person that is on there, what they like, what they do, who's their spouse, who are their children,
where they work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they likes,
they're buying.
news feeds,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
You
know, I met a doctor today, this
Okay.
morning, when I went for Sasha's blood test results, and we had just a little nice chat together. And he spoke about traveling a lot. So he was a really interesting guy. He was the chief of that department.
Okay.
That I went to, and he said, I am not on Facebook or on any other social media, website.
He doesn't have an account at all.
No. And I was like, wow.
Hey, that's a
the
rarity
right
in
thing.
the world.
Yeah, the rarity and the right thing to do,
Yeah.
I think, today. So, you see, there are some people that choose not to be on social websites, just to be away from all this stuff that takes time from you.
And this is a kind of freedom that we have in the 21st century. Freedom from Facebook.
Exactly.
Well, I'd like to say again, if you do not experience any freedom from Facebook, you can go to our page, American in Yerevan, and listen to our old recordings from this show, from the very beginning, everything we've talked about, all of the topics from chash and moonshine to
blood,
love,
men and women.
And soon will be the 8th of March.
Yay!
Which is coming
Spring.
up. Spring. You can go and like us and listen to us and give us suggestions for the kind of topics you would like to hear on 103.0 Radio Van in English.
In English. And of course, give us calls.
Yes, at 560901. Or if you're calling internationally, if you're listening to us on the web, radiovan.fm, it is
plus 374 10 560901.
Stick around. We're still here for another hour and 7 minutes with Enam K.
And Stephen Oxner.
And here we are, talking about Getna Khanzur, which I'm eating a piece of right now, and you can hear me. Ready?
And Khanzur.
That is a healthy treat.
Yummy Khanzur.
Yeah.
Well,
Khanzur.
we all know what
Khanzur.
apple is.
Yeah. And talking about technology, which I think we should speak about next. Because technology, it exists in a lot of different forms, right, Ina?
Right, Stephen?
We spoke about how Getna Khanzur could not have been such a giant achievement in my psychological perception of time had it not been for the airplane and for the ship, technologies which allowed humans to travel. This is something interesting. For example, when the Model T came out in America, Henry Ford said, "This is the car that will bring us closer to our family members because we'll be able to get there quicker."
Cool.
So this is the invention that will help us be closer to our families, because there were some families at that time who, I don't know, you lived in somewhere in Wisconsin and your brother moved to Chicago, to work in a factory. But the thing that happened actually is the opposite. Can you imagine? People started going further and further away from each other, which is something that happened with the airplane too, and in my life. For example, the airplane can take me to my family in America in under well, we say 2 days, you know, in about exactly, I traveled one time from here to my family in exactly 24 hours.
It's a psychological thing.
But it actually
Makes you
took me
feel
away
like-
from them.
It makes you feel as if you have an option to
Yeah.
always
To get there.
get there.
Yeah.
But it's just a psychological safety thing, which is an illusion at the end of the day.
Oh.
Just like phones or again, the social websites.
Yes.
We think,
yes.
oh, it makes us easier to contact any person right away. And then there is the lack of real interaction, real communication between each other. And
Yeah.
we often see families that sitting in the same living room, for instance, and instead
everyone
of
is involved in the
speaking with each
technology.
other, they're reading all these interesting
Yeah.
articles.
Yeah.
in Facebook or wherever,
Yeah. Oh gosh.
losing the time
This
of
is something fundamental.
speaking with each other.
Yeah.
Just like that cool video we
We had a
posted,
video one
remember?
time.
The Coca-Cola
Yeah.
social media
Social
guard.
media guard. Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Which was like a cone that you put on your dog when your dog has surgery, but you put it on yourself so you can't see your phone or your computer anymore, and you have to look up and see the person sitting in front of you.
Yeah, and I think we need it so often.
Unlike the next few things, which we will name off, which are the future technologies of our world. For example, Google Glass. Ina, Google Glass.
Wow,
Something
what is
that-
that?
it's an experiment that Google has undertaken, and it's theoretically it's a social media feed that will give you text and Google Maps and different things like this subway is no longer in service through the form of glass.
Mm-hmm.
So no longer will you see this in a phone, but you will see it just walking, and you'll see a pane of glass. However, I saw something pretty recently actually that was quite interesting, and that was
Mm-hmm.
glass that is also a solar collector. So a pane of
Ah,
glass
yeah.
which collects energy. That seems like something that we could develop and benefit from, because then we could have whole cities, you know, that are, because cities mostly, if you think about it, like you look at a picture of New York City, you see mostly glass. There's a ton of buildings, but a lot of them they consist mostly of glass on the outside. And if that glass was all collecting energy, then maybe, you know, we'd
Yeah.
have a chance to get away from
To
oil.
accumulate energy through the glass that they have. But I think that's a special glass, not a straight one, but
No, it is. It's just, and
It's
they
just a
talked about too
straight
how you could put it in an
piece
iPhone,
of
and your
glass?
iPhone would charge itself, or your computer would
Wow.
charge itself just
well,
from
that's
the
a good
sun.
idea.
There's also a personal 3D printer. There's a new development in 3D headsets that can give you virtual reality while you're video gaming. There's nano architecture. This is not something I would even like to pretend to understand. But nanotechnology is this thing that's even smaller than atoms, apparently. And,
Lip motion.
and this is something where nanotechnology, so nanobots can build upon themselves and create some kind of form, which is kind of scary. That's something.
Technology progress is always scary because it always has this other side,
Which side is that? Is
the
it going
dark
to be
side of the
Oh,
moon, the dark
yes.
side of technology.
like in artificial intelligence? The side that, or in Terminator, the side that bites back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always brings to this world always brings everything to balance.
The
When-
world itself?
When something good, for instance, is
Yeah.
created, like
Yeah.
in technologies, there is this other bad side of it.
Oh. Yeah.
Just like
So that the world
just
comes
like you
back to
said,
balance.
just like you said with the airplanes, for instance.
Oh,
Seems
how
like
it
it's
was
good.
It's like it could bring me closer to my family very quickly,
It's
but
both
has
positive
taken me
and
away
negative.
to this place in Armenia, some faraway land. Yeah, you're right. Everything is, they say in English, a double-edged sword. You sharpen one side, and the other side seems kind of dull all of a sudden. So you sharpen that side, and then the other side
the
is
other
kind
side
of
is
dull.
still
And they both get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you don't have a sword anymore. There's another thing, the Google driveless car. Apparently, Google has developed now a car that has driven 16. This is funny, arbitrary, 1,609 kilometers without any human commands, and it's using video surveillance and radar, and it is something that has mimicked the film I, Robot. Did you see that one with Will Smith?
Yeah, I've seen
Where
that one.
the robots also go crazy in that one. Well, they don't go crazy; they just bite back, like in Terminator.
They
But he has a
go out of
car that
control.
drives itself. He just sits in it, tells it where. It's like a taxi driver.
But you never can rely on that thing.
Well, they do.
Would you trust that?
Oh, it'd be so hard.
That would be
I don't know.
scary.
Yeah, that's the answer that we could get from a caller. You can
Yeah.
call us with your modern day technology,
Would you
21st
trust?
century technology. Would you trust a driveless car, a car that drives itself? Just sit in it and say, I would like to go to Bangladesh. Baymek, Bangladesh.
Can't remember. I think
That's
that
an answer
car
you can
would
give us
get
at 560-901.
really, really easily
I
here.
think it would be quite dangerous in the streets of Yerevan, driving a car without a driver, because human intuition is something that is something I'm very thankful for whenever I'm in a car in Armenia.
And whenever you're crossing the street as
Whenever
well,
I'm
right?
crossing the street as well. Hope! Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Let's see who it is. Someone has an answer. Hello? Oh,
Oh.
can you imagine?
Try again.
We got hung up on.
You never can rely
Stay
on
just
those
for a few-
technologies.
You can't rely on this. Why would I ever want a driveless car if I can't even rely on
On the
the
phone.
fact that the phone will give us a connection to the people of Yerevan or the people of the world? So, we're going to listen to more songs.
And expect
Breaking
for
News
this
first
call.
by Michael Jackson. Oh, talk about human intuition. Unreal.
Unreal.
Such an unreal person. Here we go. We'll be back. Listening to a very appropriate song, Hey You by Pink Floyd here on American and Yerevan on an evening when we're talking about the earth apple, the sun choke, the Jerusalem artichoke, and technologies. And you may ask, why? What do these two things have in common? And now
Tell
we are
me
coming to the
why.
very fact of the matter, and that is the world is, in a lot of perceptions, threatened by technology. So the apple, from which we had our first revolution as humans, apparently, according to the Bible, Genesis, Eve took the apple, the snake said, try it, just try it.
And
She was
Eve-
like, no, I can't. God said no.
Okay,
He
give
said-
it to me.
He said, do it. Okay, I'll try it. Then she tried it, and she was like, hey, Adam, check out this apple. It's so delicious and wonderful and juicy. Try it. He tried it, and then God
And
was
it
like,
happened.
oh, gosh. Okay. All right, you guys gotta
Okay,
go.
you made your choice.
Gotta become the flawed humans that we all became, that I was born as, and that
And
you
work
were born
hard
as.
for
Yeah.
your everyday bread.
And in a way, seems like to me the very statement, I know, for example. Like, I know this thing. Like, could Eve and Adam have ever said that they know something? It doesn't seem like it to me.
Not really.
So maybe that was it too. Like, the minute that
That was a test.
a person said, I know what to do next. Like, I'll start farming so I don't have to walk around and take food from different places of the earth and, like, you know, every once in a while find a deer to eat. I'll start a farm. That's what I'll do. That seems logical, right? And that was like the beginning of technology in a way.
Wish I knew always what to do.
And we're coming to the culmination where the apple, if we say, is the departure from naivete of human nature to knowing something and creating technology and having governments and having organized religion and having organized systems, to back coming to the earth apple, of the apple kind of, in a way, destroying the earth. Don't you think? I mean, in a way. There are a lot of these opinions right now that if we don't stop what we're doing,
What about the apple of my eye?
I don't think that you're with us here on what we're...
I'm just singing. You are the apple of my... Trying to
That's
be
not even a
positive
song.
here. That's a song.
You are the sunshine of my love, he sings.
And the other part he says, you are the apple of
We
my...
should probably put that song on just to check, because I have some doubts.
Okay, let's have a bet.
Okay. It's on.
What if I was
So-
right? I was singing the right lyrics. What happens next?
You can't avoid this issue. The issue is that every time I open Facebook or every time I turn on the television, every time I come into some kind of contact with technology, modern day 20th century technology, I hear about how it's destroying everything. Not hacking.
It's destroying our children's psychology.
It's destroying our children. Okay, so this is the thing. There is a theory that if artistry ceases to be on this earth, and that means like the creative process, something that's really difficult and grudgingly stressful, if it ceases to be, then the earth will also cease to be. Because if you look out the window right now of our studio even, and you look a lot across the landscape, you see all of these kind of weird angles and kind of in a way ugly.
Horrible buildings.
Yeah. And it's the same in New York
That have
City.
nothing
it's the same
to do
in
with this
Moscow. It's the
city.
same. Yeah, it's these cities. And bear with us here. If you go to Florence or if you go to Vienna, I've never been to Vienna, but I've been to Florence, and I felt
have.
like the architecture. You've been to Venice, and did it feel like the?
Not in Venice.
Sorry, Vienna.
Yeah.
Did it feel like the architecture came from something other than what the architecture we have mostly here came from?
Oh,
to
it's
you?
beautiful. Because they keep all the old buildings historical. You just enter a building where people just live, and only the entrance makes you feel like you're in a castle or something. They're so beautiful.
And it's so far away and intangible to us here in a lot of ways. I think because we've departed so far from that. First with the Soviet Union, then
Agreed.
with after the Soviet Union and all of the things that are being built these days. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. It's like,
Again,
where is the
it's-
artistry?
Yeah, it's all about business again.
And then you think about the iPhones and the computers, because that is, in a way, very instant satisfaction. Nothing you have to work for, nothing you have to create, nothing. There's no process involved when I'm just scrolling on my...
Yeah, it's just fast food
Yeah.
for your soul.
Yeah, and then we think about the children.
My son.
And
Oh my
how do you
goodness, my
protect
son.
the poor children from this thing.
Because my son, what he sees
Yeah,
when I'm with him, I have my phone in my hands
Yeah.
most of the time,
right.
because parallel to like playing with him or stuff from time to
Yeah.
oh,
There's
every
business
now and
that
then,
has
yeah.
to be done.
I have
right.
to answer
way
questions.
we
I have
are.
to post stuff on
Yes,
our page. I
yes.
have to do this and that
In
and
the
that.
same way. Yes.
And then he thinks that this is the right way to
Yeah,
be.
this is how it is. This is how life
And
is.
now he's
Oh
in
my
the age that
gosh.
he just he makes me give him the phone so he could play or watch cartoons on this
Oof.
phone,
Ugh.
and he just demands it,
Yeah.
and he knows how to download stuff, and
So
he
did you
knows.
ever think about just saying no? Like, no, you're not going to.
Okay, I say no, and
Yeah.
then what will happen next? No, and then what he thinks? Okay, wait till I grow up and do it as much as I
That's
want.
exactly it. That's exactly what happened with me and sugar,
It's
for
a
example. My
paradox.
mom was a sugar Nazi when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then as
Sugar
soon,
Nazi.
as soon as I
love that.
became the manager of the student store in middle school, where we had enormous amounts of sugar, I became a sugar maniac. Because I had access to sugar all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is what
it
happens.
seems like anytime you limit something, that limitation becomes like a spring. Like you squeeze the spring tighter and tighter and tighter.
Yeah, and then
As soon as you let
bur-
go of it, yeah, it jumps.
These are arguments that I used to have with my host parents because they were really strict with they
Oh, when
with
you
their
were in
kids.
America.
Yeah, when I was in America, they were really
They
really
were quite
strict
strict.
and conservative.
Illinois conservatives.
Indiana.
Indiana.
You know, they were really, 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 really nice people.
Yeah.
But they had their own way of thinking, and they had their own principles how to raise their children, and
Sure.
they were treating me the same way as their own children, like their own. And it was so unusual to me because my parents were somewhat different from their worldview. And
a little more
yeah.
liberal,
Yeah.
you could say.
And I had these arguments with them every now and then, like, okay, if you do this to your kids, when they grow up, they'll do exactly the opposite because finally,
They'll have
we're
freedom.
free.
Yeah.
You know, we are allowed to do anything we want, and you know, unfortunately, that happens to most of the people. So this is the same thing that is gonna happen with these technologies. You don't know how, like, you cannot hide your child in the basement, and or you have to go on a farm and live there
Yeah.
and milk
Away
a cow,
from it, yeah.
away from everything, away from
Well,
TV.
as
even.
usual, I think the main thing is the example. So if you don't want your kids to be addicted to technology, you have to not be addicted yourself.
Exactly right. I admit.
Use it for what it's meant for. Now we're going to listen to I Reach For You by Mark Anthony. We're still here on American in Yerevan.
Reach for us, please.
I stand very much humbly corrected by world famous lyricist Ina MK
Come on.
that in the song You Are the Sunshine of My Mind?
Life.
Life.
You are the apple.
You are the apple of my eye. Stevie Wonder sings that lyric.
Stevie Wonder singing specially for Stevie Oxner tonight.
Stevie, yeah.
I have such a good memory, memorizing lyrics actually, but in all kinds of other stuff, I have such a bad memory.
Oh, like names?
I admit,
Do you have a
I
problem
confess.
with names?
Names,
I have a problem with names.
dates, it's
Dates,
horrible.
birthdays. Oh my god.
Birthdays and history in general.
Yeah.
Dates. Okay,
Every
so
time that comes up.
This is
When
a
was the
confession
American
moment.
Civil War, Stephen? 1770s.
Just Google.
1770s. Yeah, I gotta Google it. That's the problem with
With
modern day
technology.
technology. Yes.
Because we rely on Google and we keep our memory lazy. We don't practice it. We don't.
Which is exactly what the producers want,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
They want.
However, if
control
this episode has made you feel like the end is coming,
the end is near.
that the end is near and there's no hope, do not dismay because we are going to give you several examples right now, starting from, let's say, okay, arbitrarily, May 5th, 2000. No, sorry, January 1st, 2000.
Okay.
January 1st, 2000 was a date when many people thought that doomsday was here. Because computers before that time had been set up to take down dates this way. 19, then 2 free, what do you call them? Like spots for numbers, yeah? Digits.
Yeah.
2 free digits.
Three digits.
Two, just 2 of them. 19, then 2 free digits. Because computers were invented in the 1900s, and they didn't really plan for computers to go, I guess, into the 2000s.
Further, because the end was near.
And there was this just hysteria in America with people thinking that there wasn't going to be food in the grocery stores, that nothing was going to work, all of the computers were going to crash, and so people bought tons of food, canned food, tons of water. People built underground bunkers, and they holed up in their bunkers and waited for the end of the world.
I wonder what
Which
did
never
they
came.
need this world for if it was gonna end? I mean,
That's a
what
good
did they buy
theory
that
you
food
have.
for?
Yeah. Wait, do you have any other examples of this?
Yes.
The end
Like
of the
the
world has
mo-
come several times.
Yeah.
As far as I
Bunches of times.
Yeah.
Mormon Armageddon. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, the Armageddon of Mormons.
Yeah, 1891
Oh, yes.
or even earlier.
Good old
Joseph Smith.
1891.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Joseph Smith, founder of the Mormon Church, called a meeting of his church leaders in February 1835 to tell them that he had spoken to God recently,
Yeah.
you know.
As he often did.
Yes, he often did.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe text messaging. And during their conversation, he learned that Jesus would return within next 56 years.
Yes, of course.
After which the
Within
end
the next 56
times
years.
would begin promptly.
Of course. Yes.
Right
Yes.
away.
Or, for example, in 1806, when there was a... when there
What
was an
is it?
English town of Leeds.
Mhm.
Leeds was the town's name.
Mhm.
They had a hen. And
Hen?
the hen?
Oh no.
Kura.
Kura.
Yeah. They had a hen who started laying eggs with the phrase written on them, Christ is coming.
You're
Written on the eggs.
kidding
Yes.
me.
And as news of this miracle spread, many people became convinced that doomsday was at hand. That the local authority actually
That's a joke.
watched the hen laying these eggs. And eventually they
Nah.
uncovered that someone actually was just taking probably a pencil and writing
How creative. You
Christ
see,
is coming.
you're
on
saying
them.
that creative people are we have a
This
lack
was
of
in
creative.
this was 1806. There were a lot of creative people
Yeah.
back then, even people who kept hens.
Oh my.
So
God's
do not
church.
dismay. Doomsday has come several times. Not even once. Not even twice. Not even 10
Yeah,
times.
the Mayan calendar.
Yeah, Nostradamus predicted it. The Mormons predicted it. There was all of these comets that
Vanga.
come. Van Gogh.
Manga.
Vanga?
Yeah, the blind old woman.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, she predicted the end of the
end
world.
of the world too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which this date has passed already. So
Yeah,
she was
and
wrong
in 2012,
again. But she predicted
the Mayan calendar ended.
I'm not sure because I don't remember, but she was wrong, but she predicted actually a lot of right facts in history
Yeah.
that really happened.
Oh yeah, like Nostradamus as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But again,
The end of the world still hasn't come.
still delayed, postponed.
Whether you side with the doomsdayers or side with the, well, we could say Republicans at this point of our lives, the next thing to do always when you find out the world has not ended is just listen to some Bee Gees, which we're going to do right now.
Or we could listen to Don't Wanna Close My Eyes.
Yeah, that came from that movie, Armageddon.
Maybe
No,
next.
we got to listen to the Bee Gees first. Closer Than Close.
Close.
Thanks for
Closer
listening
than
to us.
close.
This is American in Yerevan with MK.
And Stephen Oxner.
It is 10:54 and 58, 59, 10:55 and 0 seconds here
The
on
end is
American.
near. The end of our program is near.
Can we talk about just for a second before we say good evening, good adieu to you, the fact that maybe the doomsdayers, the people who feel like technology is ruining all of our Earth's apples, and the possibility to eat something so wonderful as an Earth apple, maybe that's just like an escapist thing too. Maybe that's the same thing as like, I'm sorry to say this, but like drugs, like escaping your problems, thinking that the world is going to end anyway.
Yeah,
Everything's
so,
going to be decided.
So
it'll all
why should
be
I
solved.
do anything?
Yeah. I don't have to do anything to fix the issues of my life because the world's going to end anyway.
But if the end is near,
Yeah.
I would recommend us
Uh-huh.
enjoy every day of our lives,
Right.
escaping technologies as much as we can.
As much as we can. And look at the sunset because it happens every single day. We're always here Wednesdays and Fridays from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on 103.0 Radio Von
With Stephen Oxner.
and Ina MK.